Okay, welcome to a new episode of Nate's MMA Corner. I'm Nathan. If you watch my show, you're in my corner. Today's episode is a pre-fight show for UFC on Fox. Poirier versus Gaethje. A lightweight clash of top contenders in the 155-pound division. Going to be exciting main event. And this card has a lot of fights on it. It has 14 fights on it altogether. 6 on Fight Pass prelims, 4 on the Fox prelims, and 4 on the main card Fox fights. Yeah, so it's a pre-fight rundown of the main card with predictions, so let's get started. So, in the lightweight division, we have Dustin the Diamond Poirier versus Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje, former World Series of Fighting lightweight champion of the world, and Dustin the Diamond Poirier, UFC veteran, and has fought all over the place and is still fairly young of a fighter. I went with Justin Gaethje on this by unanimous decision. I think this one goes the distance, and I think Gaethje wins probably 3 of the rounds. I don't see this as a super dominant win for Gaethje, but I think it's a close, hard-fought win for Gaethje. Poirier can hold his own in this fight, I think. This fight could go either way. This one's kind of hard to predict because Poirier has looked good since going to 155. However, Gaethje had that setback against Eddie Alvarez, but other than that, has looked great. That was his only loss. So we really have 2 guys that are very well-rounded in this fight. However, I think Gaethje's wrestling is going to be a difference maker in this fight. So I got Gaethje by unanimous decision. I think he wins the 3 rounds he does win by takedowns when needed, just to basically win the round. I could picture this being a stand-up war, but then his coach is going, well, there's a close fight, shoot for a takedown, and then he shoots for a takedown at the end of a couple rounds, and then that wins him that round. And then thus, he goes on to win a decision win over Dustin Poirier. Then in the welterweight division, in the co-main event, we have Carlos, the Natural Born Killer Condit, versus Alex Oliveira, Cowboy Oliveira, that is. And I'm picking Carlos Condit on this one. I think he wins by decision, 29-28, unanimous decision across the board. I could see Alex Oliveira winning a round, and then Carlos Condit readjusting his striking and doing some good counter striking in rounds 2 and 3 to squeak out a win and readjust his game. But I could definitely see Cowboy Oliveira winning at least the first round. But again, you know what? I think this is a pretty close fight because Carlos has fought the best of the best. Alex has fought some talented guys, but never fought for a belt and hasn't been UFC champ like Carlos Condit has. So there's that experience. But Alex, I would say, might be a slightly fresher fighter in terms of his career going into this fight. This fight, though, again, it's a close one, but I'm going to pick Carlos Condit on this one. And then in the middleweight division, we have Israel Adesanya versus Marvin Vettori. Wow, you know what? I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for this one, because there's a lot of people on the Israel train, and I like Israel. You know, I'm a fan of him. I like his style. I like his mic skills. I think he's good at promoting himself, good at marketing himself, and as a lot of you know, I'm into fighters that are good at doing that. You know, make me like you or hate you as a fan. That's what it's all about. You know, if I don't care about you as a fan, then, you know, don't complain when other fans feel the same way and are not making money. And I think Israel does a good job of promoting himself, and I think he's a fairly young fighter still and has a good career ahead of him. But I'm picking Marvin Vettori in this fight. I think Marvin's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu skills are going to be a difference maker, and yeah, he just he's a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu going up against a blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu last time I checked. And also, Vettori has underrated wrestling. In his last fight, he fought a Dagestani Sambo-based fighter, and was able to deal with the ground game pretty well. So if he's able to deal with, I believe it was Omari Akhmedov. Let me check that. Let's see here. Yeah, or Omari Akhmedov. Yeah. So anyhow, I could picture it. It goes two ways. Either Marvin pretends like he's going to stand and bang with Israel to get Israel all. How do you say it? Comfortable in his stand-up. Yeah, comfortable in his stand-up. And then once that happens, Marvin shoots for a takedown out of nowhere, gets it. Or Marvin bum rushes for a takedown early on. Maybe doesn't get it right away, but works for it and eventually gets it, or gets it right away. So there's going to be that takedown factor there, and I think that's going to nullify the killer strike into Israel, and we're going to see Marvin win by ground and pound, unanimous decision. I think Vettori is going to take down Israel at least once per round and then squeak out a unanimous decision 30-27 on this fight. Then in the women's strawweight division, to kick off the main card, we have Michelle Waterson, the Karate Hottie, versus Courtney Casey. Michelle Waterson was an Invicta atomweight champ. It's hard to pick against her. Courtney Casey has fought in the UFC for quite some time now. But I got to go with Michelle Waterson. I think she gets it done by unanimous decision here. I think she finds her range early on and then works a striking clinic, and this fight stays standing. I don't really see a whole lot of takedowns. Well, I could see Courtney maybe towards the end of the fight, maybe shooting for takedowns in round 3, but I could picture Michelle Waterson being fresh in those first couple rounds and avoiding any ground attack of Courtney Casey and finding her range and just outpointing her on strikes. So that third round, whether Courtney wins it or not, Michelle have already done enough to win the fight by decision. So there you have it. There is my predictions for UFC on Fox, Poirier versus Gaethje. And yeah, the prelims are pretty good. You got Shayna Dobson versus Lauren Mueller. Lauren Mueller was on Tuesday Night Contender Series. Shayna Dobson, we remember her from The Ultimate Fighter, so that's going to be a good one at flyweight. And then Aron Buehler versus Adam Wadzorek. That's going to be a great fight at heavyweight. Aron has a lot of hype in him, being a great wrestler coming from India. So definitely check out the Fight Pass prelims and all the other prelims as well. And stay tuned in the coming days for my post-fight show of this card. It's going to be interesting to see how this card plays out and what I'll have to say about it. So stay tuned for my post-fight of this card in the coming days. And until then, I will see you.